In this video, we're going to continue moving on, and we're going to do our strip align is what our next step is, and it's to take and tie all of this information together and relocate the point cloud and its data to a more precise location. In the top right, you will see a sign in button. If you're not signed in, go ahead and sign in using your user credentials. Once you are signed in, before we jump into the tool, it's important that we go over some concepts. Over here in your table of contents, you remember that we had this long named LES. The program by default, when we are doing our steps, is going to generate an actual .las file for each flight line. So in my case, I only have one, but if you had multiple flight lines, that would be multiple .las files. But you only have one symbolic layer here that represents it. If I right click on this layer and go to LES File Analyst, you can see if there are multiple LESs, actual .les files attached to that symbology. So that's important because the geoprocessing tools that we are going to use like to use one LES at a time. And if you have multiples of these symbolics, you're able to come up to this active LES layer and go between them, which you'll see in a moment. So we're going to run the strip align tool, and it's under the view and the utilities toolbar. So I'm going to turn it off and back on so you can see it flash. So it's this one, and we are going to run the strip align tool, which corrects the LES files both horizontal and vertically depending on the trajectory files that we produced. So we're going to run strip align. If you have multiple LESs, you would check all of them. I'm just going to hit use. If you had multiples and you knew one of them was right, or you wanted to hold it as the God's honest truth, you would hit it as fixed and it would adjust all the others to it. But in my case, and in most cases, you're just going to use. Create a new layer. That's important as you remember that these are layers. So we're going to put LES-aligned. I like to and recommend that as we go through it, we're going to say what it is and what we've done to it, and we're going to submit the alignment job. It's been submitted. Now this is cloud processed, which gives us an opportunity to come over here on the left and look at our level job manager. You can see here are all of your background processes that you have run or have running. So in our case, this one that we're running right now, the strip align, it's failed actually. So now this one shows it's failed, but if you have more than one flight line, this will pass. Now this can't run a strip align for only one strip. So if I go to the view log here and I'll scroll down here to the warnings, you'll see it can only be done for just a single swath. So if you got multiple flight lines, it will run all the way through. If you did not do the steps that I said before, where you went to File and Project Settings and put in this email, you would have received an error when you click that button, and it wants you to put that in there. So you need to have that in, and this is where you do it in order to run it. Pretty simple tool. You don't really do much with it. You just select your LESs and hit run, and it will produce your layer. So at this point we have our LESs and our LES layer, our align layer, that's been moved to both horizontally and vertically to the calculated trajectories. And so on our next few steps, we're going to start doing quality control and start classifying.